This is Two Ladies Midwest Adventures. I'm Jenny, and I'm going to be reading Animal Farm by George Orwell, Chapter 7, Part 2, I believe. Let me check. Yep, Chapter 7, Part 2. Or 3. I don't quite remember. I think it's, Let me think.
2,000 years later.
I'll just say Part 2 for now. If I'm wrong, it'll show up right there. Okay, I am going to start here. Comrades, cried Squealer, making little nervous skips. A most terrible thing has been discovered. Snowball had sold himself to Frederick of Pinchfield Farm, who is even now plotting to attack us and take our farm away from us. Snowball is to act as his guide when the attack begins, but there is worse than that we had thought that Snowball's rebellion was caused simply by his vanity and ambition. But we were wrong, comrades. Do you know what very start he was Jones, secret agent, all the time? It has all been have only just discovered. To my mind, this is a great deal, comrades. We did not see for ourselves how he attempted fortunately without success, to get us defeated and destroyed at the Battle of the Cowshed. The animals were stupefied. This was a wickedness far outdoing Snowball's destruction of the windmill, but it was some minutes before they could fully take it in. They all remembered, or thought they remembered, how they had seen Snowball charging ahead of them at the Battle of Cowshed, how he had railed and encouraged them at every turn, and how he not paused for an instant, even when the pellets from Jones' gun had wounded his back. At first, it was a little difficult to see how this fitted in with his being on Jones' side. Even Boxer, who seldom asked questions, was puzzled. He lay down, tucked his forehead beneath him, shut his eyes, and with a hard effort managed to formulate his thoughts. I do not believe that, he said. Snowball fought bravely at the Battle of the Cowshed. I saw him myself. Did we not give him Animal Hero First Class? Immediately afterwards, that was our mistake. Comrade, for we know now it is all that in reality he was trying to lure us to our doom. But he was wounded, said Boxer. We all saw him running with blood. That was part of the argument, cried Squealer. Shot only grazed him. I could show you this in his own writing, if you were able to read it. The plot was for Snowball at the certical enemy, and he very nearly succeeded. I will even say, comrades, that he would have succeeded if it had not been for our heroic leader, Comrade Napoleon. Do you not remember how just at the moment when Jones and his men had got inside the yard, Snowball suddenly turned and fled, and many animals followed him? And do you not remember, too, that it was just at that moment when panic was spread and all seemed lost that Comrade Napoleon sprang forward with a cry of death to humanity and sank his teeth into Jones' leg? Surely you remember that, comrades, exclaimed Squealer, frisking from side to side. Seemed to the animals that they did remember it. At any rate, they had turned to flee, but Boxer was still a little uneasy. I do not believe that Snowball was a traitor at the beginning, he said finally. What has he done since is different, but I believe that at the Battle of the Cowshed he was a good comrade. Our leader, Comrade Napoleon, announced Squealer, speaking very slowly and firmly, has started categorically comrade. Sorry about that. That Snowball was Jones' agent from the very beginning. Yes, and from long before the rebellion was every thought of. Ah, that is different, said Boxer. If Comrade Napoleon said it, it must be right. That is the true spirit, comrade, cried Squealer. But it was noticed he cast a very ugly look on Boxer, with a little twinkling eyes. He turned to go, then paused and added impressively, I warn every animal on this farm to keep his eye very wide open, for we have reason to think that some of Snowball's secret agents are lurking among us at this moment. 4 days later, in late afternoon, Napoleon ordered all the animals to assemble in the yard. When they were all gathered together, Napoleon emerged from the farmhouse, wearing both his medals, for he had recently awarded himself Animal Hero First Class and Animal Hero Second Class, with his 9 huge dogs frisking round him and uttering growls that sent shivers down all the animals' spines. They all cowered silently in their places, seemed to know in advance that some terrible thing was about to happen. Napoleon stood stirringly, surveying his audience. Then he uttered a high-pitched whimper. Immediately the dogs bounded forward, seized 4 of the pigs by the ear, and dragged them squealing with pain and terror to Napoleon's feet. The pigs' ears were bleeding. The dogs had tasted blood, and for a few moments they appeared to go quite mad, to the amazement of everybody. 3 of them flung themselves upon Boxer. Boxer saw them coming and put out his great hoof, caught a dog in mid-air, and pinned him to the ground. The dogs shrieked for mercy, and the other 2 fled with their tails between their legs. Boxer looked at Napoleon, to know whether he should crush the dog to death or let it go. Napoleon appeared to change continuous and sharply ordered Boxer to let the dog go. Where threat, Boxer lifted his hoof, and the dog slunked away, bruised and hollering. Presently, the tumult died down. The 4 pigs waited, trembling, with guilt written on the line of their continuous conscience. Napoleon now called upon them to confess their crimes. They were the same 4 pigs as had protested when Napoleon abolished the Sunday meetings. Without any further prompt, they confessed that they had secretly in touch with Snowball ever since his exclusion. They had collaborated with him and destroyed the window, and that they had entered into an agreement with him to hand over Animal Farm to Mr. Frederick. They had been Jones' secret agent for years past. When they had finished their confession, the dogs promptly tore their throats out. And in a terrible voice, Napoleon demanded whether any other animal had anything to confess. The 3 hens who had been ringleaders in attempted rebellion over the eggs now came forward and stated that Snowball had appeared to them in a dream and insisted them to disobey Napoleon's orders. They too were slaughtered. Then a goose came forward and confessed to have secreted 6 ears of corn during the last year's harvest and eaten them in the night. Then a sheep confessed to having urinated in the drinking pool. Urged to do this, so she said by Snowball, and 2 other sheep confessed to have murdered an old ram, an especially devoted follower of Napoleon, by chasing him round and round a bonfire when he suffered from a cough. They were all slain in the spot. And so the tale of conventions and executions went on until there was a pile of corpses laying before Napoleon's feet. And the air was heavy with the smell of blood, which had then been known there since the exclusion of Jones. When it was all over, the remaining animals, except for the pigs and dogs, crept away in a body. They were shaken and miserable. They did not know which was more shocking, the treachery of the animals who had been legged themselves with Snowball, or the often been scenes of bloodshed, equally terrible. But it seemed to all of them that it was far worse now that it was happening among themselves, since Jones had left the farm until today. No animal had killed another animal. Not even a rat had been killed. They had made their way on to the little knoll where the half-finished windmill stood, and with one accord they lay down as though huddling together for warmth. Clover, Muriel, Benjamin, indeed except the cat, had suddenly disappeared, just before Napoleon ordered the animals to assemble. Nobody spoke. Only Boxer remained on his feet. He fidgeted to fro, swishing his long black tail against the sides and occasionally uttering a little tawny wee of surprise. He finally said, "I don't understand it. I would have believed that such things could happen on our farm. It must be due to some fault in ourselves. The solution, as I see, is to work harder. From now onwards, I shall get up a full hour early in the mornings," and he moved off as his lumbering trot and made for the quarry. Having got there, he collected 2 successive loads of stone and dragged them down to the windmill before retiring for the night. Huddled about Clover, not speaking. The knoll where they were lying gave them a wide prospect across the countryside. Most of Animal Farm was within their view. The long pasture stretching down the main road, the hayfield, the spinning, the drinking pool, the plowed fields, where the young wheat was thick and green, and the roofs of the farm buildings with the smoke curling from the chimneys. It was a clear spring evening. The grass and the bursting hedges were gilded by the level rays of the sun. Never had the farm, and with a kind of surprise, they remembered that it was their own farm, every inch of it their own property. Appeared to the animals so describable a place. As Clover looked down the hillside, her eyes filled with tears. If she could have spoken her thoughts, it would have been to say that this was not what they had aimed at when they had set themselves years ago. What they had go to work for the overthrow of the human race. These scenes of terror and slaughter were not what they had looked forward to on that night when old Major first strided them to rebellion. If she herself had had any picture of the future, it had been of a society of animals set free from hunger and the whip, all equal, each working according to his capacity, the strong protecting the weak, as she had protected the lost brood of ducklings with her foreleg on the night of Manor's speech. Instead, she did not know why they had come to a time when no dared speak his mind, when fierce growling dogs roamed everywhere, and when you had to watch your comrades torn to pieces after confessing to shocking crimes. There was no thought of rebellion or disobedience in her mind. She knew that even as things were, they were far better off than they had been in the days of Jones, and that had all else it was needful to prevent the return of the human beings. Whatever happened, she would remain faithful, work hard, carry out the orders that were given to her, and accept the leadership of Napoleon. But still, it was for this that she had all the other animals had hoped and toiled. It was not for this that they had built the windmill and faced the bullets of Joan's gun. Such were her thoughts, though. She lacked the words to express them. I'm going to stop it there because I think I went a little overboard. So, like and subscribe so we can get to 1,000 subscribers so we can start beekeeping. And stay blessed, make the world a better place, one person and one moment at a time. Ready for the boop? 3, 2, 1, boop! Dad.
Boop.
Okay.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Love you, Dad.